Hello everyone, Eileen here from the DT. It's the Lavinia Stamps Halaganza event and I hope that you're having a great time enjoying all the videos, live demonstrations and much more. My video tutorial for you today is Precious Potions and it features some of the gorgeous new images from our very exciting new Lavinia Stamps release this month. Okay, let's get cracking then. I have a piece of multifarious cardstock from Lavinia Stamps in white, and it is 11 centimetres by 11 centimetres. I'm using a T-square. You can use a ruler or credit card. I'm doing a technique I've often done before, but it's ideal for this demonstration. So I'm just going to pop that on. Make sure it clips onto the edge of the card. Pop that up just a little bit there. Yeah. Right. I have a do-it-yourself brush that is angled. You can use any paintbrush as long as it's got a sort of a flat edge at the top or angled as it is here. Chisel tip, I think this is called, not sure. But anyway, this is from a do-it-yourself store. You only need the one. Lavinia Stamps Sundance. Elements from the Elements range. That's what I meant to say. I'm so looking forward to doing this card. You see, I'm forgetting what I'm supposed to be saying. Right, so let's go back. Concentrate, Eileen. Sundance ink onto your brush, take off a fair bit of it onto copy paper, and under here I have my stamping mat, foam mat. It's great for stamping of course, but I find that it also helps with when I'm blending with brushes as well. So cross from whatever you're using, your ruler or credit card, and from the left hand side, releasing the pressure on the brush as I go across to the right, taking off lots of colour onto the copy paper. I don't want this to be too bright in the background. And it fades out as it goes over to the right. So that's the first line. Ensure that you wipe off whatever it is you're using in between applying the colour. The layers, need it to be clean. Right, so down a little now, and I'm going into Bermuda, I wish. I'm using Bermuda from Lavinia Stamps Elements. Same brush. Make sure I've got all that yellow's gone. Yeah, I've got a nice green now. Again, coming out from the left-hand side and releasing pressure as I go across. So I'm just getting a nice soft blend going over to fade out. Line doesn't have to be the same as the one above. I want some of them shorter than the others, so you've got a bit of extra interest. And then down again. Oh, no, wipe, nearly forgot. Down again. Make sure it's straight. Can be different widths, don't worry about that. Some will be fatter and some will be thinner than others. Again, adds interest, so you're not looking at absolutely strict measurements. And going back to the yellow, shouldn't contaminate your pad. You're putting so little ink on. So, and now I need to have even less pressure on my wrist so that I can get a lemon colour rather than yellow. And this line will be shorter than the other two above. Again, coming out, so that will do. And then down again. I'm going to do another green. So going back to the Bermuda. Make sure it's straight. And then coming out again. And this one will be even shorter than the others at the top. That's that, that's fine. Wipe this again. And then the final one is going back to the Sundance. So, and again I want lemony colour, and I want to bring that across more, that to be quite pale. I think that should do it. This cardstock is lovely, and as it soaks the ink in, your colours will get just slightly darker. Now I'm going just to put a tiny amount of yellow here, just to get rid of any white space that I had at the beginning of the lines, but I'm going to be stamping over that, so it really doesn't matter. Coupled with the fact that now I'm going to employ my sand eraser from Tombow, sand eraser mono 512A4 ink. Swing it around, and I'm going to add a bit of texture now, removing some of the ink from the lines that I've made, and it just gives it a bit of shadow, shading, dimension, whatever you want to call it. I want to remove some of the darker colour from that edge too. But as I'm stamping over the top, don't need to be too fussy about that. Put that down. So that is what you should have. And then we're on to the stamping. Okay. I'm starting off with this gorgeous sprig of oak leaves here. And then I'm also using this smaller oak leaf. I'm not using, on this occasion, the acorn. So just the sprig of oak leaves, which I've popped onto my acrylic block. Now there is, at the very beginning of this, there is a branch, if you can see it better on here. You see this branch here? I don't want that in my picture. Don't want to stamp that. I think it may be there ready to receive the acorn. So as I'm not using the acorn, I want to make sure that doesn't get inked up. So I'm using VersaFine Clear Nocturne and very carefully just going to ink up the rest of the stamp, avoiding that little bit of branch there. Okay, just going to go around and make sure that is clean. And then over to the top, I'm going to swing it round, and I'm putting it right over the lines that I've done here and wringing it out like so. That's lovely. And then what else do I need? I need the single acorn here, not acorn, the single oak leaf. And I'm going to pop that down on there, just coming in on the side of the card. And then I'm bringing it in again, and I'm just going to swing it down so that it goes into the white space area, like so. And I think that I will leave it. Oh no, I'm going to chance it. I'm going to put a little tiny bit in here of the oak leaf, just to fill in the gaps there. Okay. Now, I just want to make sure that ink is dry. Because I get my hands all over this and it smudges it. Need to be careful with white space card, don't we? Right, next, these absolutely gorgeous potion bottles. Now, where are they? Here they are. Look at these potions, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wand cleaner, wing oil, flying potion, glowworms, and fairy dust. Oh, I love the fairy dust. So I'm just using 3 for this card because it's quite small. And I've chosen to use, first of all, fairy dust. And let me just see if I can find it. I think you're it. Yes. So this is fairy dust. And I'm using Versifying Clear Twilight. Now, I will tell you that there's lots of shading on these stamps, so don't be too heavy-handed with the ink. Very gentle tapping, and if you look closely, you can see the shading. Can I hold it up? I wasn't holding it too well there, was I? So no more than that. Can you see the shading at the bottom of that bottle? Perfect, isn't it? So very gentle tapping, and then not too heavy-handed when you apply the stamp either. So just going to go to that bottom line, and I'm going to pop it on there, trying to get it straight. But if you don't worry, don't worry, we'll sort it. So down and up. And that, you can't see the words maybe in this instance as well as you should. You could just about read them, but I did want that textured background of that bottle. I don't want it to be a solid image. I'll show you what it's like when it is. So you can choose. Right, so I've really inked it up well, and now I'm pressing really heavily. So you've got all of the blue and you've got the fairy dust, but I prefer this image where I've got some of the shading there. And that's only achieved if you are, you know, light when you're pressing the stamp down, if you keep a light touch. Anyway, that's enough of fairy dust. Moving on to the larger bottle, and this one is called Wand Cleaner. And popping that into a larger block. This one will do. Like so. So this is Wand Cleaner. And again, I'm inking up, but with a light touch. So that I can see, try and get the words a bit more, but I can see the texture on that stamp. So I'm hoping that that will come out well. So popping it down next to the Wand Cleaner, down very lightly, press gently and up. That isn't maybe giving me the lighter touch, but it's okay. And I think that it might be slightly not straight as well. I think I'll get away with it though. So yeah, okay, I may need a bit more practice on that. Oh, this one is for the last one that I'm going to use, and this is Flying Potion. So this one is Flying Potion. I'm going to finish this card and see how it comes out to the end. Again, gently, gently does it. Very gently. And I can see the texture on the stamp there. And then down. Gently press and up. See, now I've got the texture there. I just love it. So, just to recap, I'm happy with that. That one, maybe I was a little too heavy-handed, so that shows you, well, that shows you what happens when you press it to it was deliberate. If you believe that, you believe anything. And then light again. Right, okay, moving on. I'm going to put in some more oak leaves just to add a little bit more colour. And this is from the set called Oak Leaf Flourish. And you get 2 stamps in this. I'm using the larger of the 2. And it's a sprig of oak leaves with the acorns attached. And then the other one is a smaller stamp. Very useful. And I'm using red now. And this is Versifying Claire Glamorous. And this isn't a very wet pad, this one. I'm going to have to get the other one out. I knew one of them was a bit iffy. And, oh, this is better, yeah. Right, and I'm just going to pop on right in the middle of these, coming in from the side of the card again. Just going to pop this on. And then press down and up. That's lovely. And then maybe I'm going to put another little tiny bit of sprig in here as well. Again, coming in from the side of the card. Like so. Maybe here, and maybe go up a bit. I mean, you can change your design anytime you like, because you're not going to get, the stamping isn't going to be identical every time. And sometimes gaps appear and they offer opportunities. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, now the last thing that I'll be going to do is to check that it's dry. I want to add another piece of colour in now, in here. So I've got Polychromos pencil in dark indigo, and another one I'm using in cinnamon. And what I'm adding is a tiny amount of shading underneath this bottom line to bring these bottles and give them some grounding, so very lightly with the blue indigo. In fact, even grey might be better, but your choice. I've chosen blue indigo because the bottles are blue. Just adding a tiny amount of shading there. And if one of them is crooked, which one of mine is, it sort of looks as if it's now straight. I hope it does anyway, because that's definitely a bit wonky. But I know you forgive me. All right. And if you overdo it, which I have now, the shading, just use your eraser to blend it back out again. Like so. All right, I think that will do on that. This gives it an indication of it sitting somewhere. Right. Then finally, with the pink, I just want to add a bit of extra colour into this area here. So it will draw your eye over to the left-hand side. And just add a little bit of shading coming across, filling in that area there. I'm not going to colour the leaves in. I'm going to leave them as they are. Just give it a little bit of shading there. And I'm using the eraser to blend. and to take off any harsh lines that I'm getting with my crayon. And I'm holding the crayon now further up so that the lines are not so noticeable because the pressure has eased on the end of the crayon pencil. Just giving it a little bit more colour. And then with this blue, again, just going to mix that in very, very gently, just to darken it down again under this leaf. Like so. This is why you have to make sure your ink has dried. That's why I blotted it. But if it's not dry, then just get a heat gun on it. And then with that, it just gives it a tiny amount of shadow. Half the time I don't know what I'm doing when I'm colouring, but I do know what I like. I like the look sometimes that I get, so that is when I stop. And I think now is the time to stop. So I think I've gone too far now, so let's take some of that back out. That's better. Right, so I'm a bit happier with that. Now I am going over to my stamp press now because I want to put a word in at the bottom and I need that word to be straight. If it isn't, then the whole card is ruined. So where is my stamp press? Where have I put that? Oh, there it is. I'm going to pop that in there. So got a mark there, get rid of that. That came from my hand. And then I've got the word, and this is Welsh for thanks. And I thought it was ideal. I don't really want much detracting from those beautiful bottles there. It's not quite inked up enough. Lovely. And I think that just finishes it off. It's quite a simple card, but there are areas where you can stray and get it wrong, which I did. And I'm still fiddling, I know. Terrible, really. Okay. Now, the final thing for me to do is, before I say goodbye, is to just frame the card, which you can do with a ruler if you want. Make sure your hands are clean. And you can do this at the beginning if you want to as well. Like so. And then taking a 14 by 14 centimetre card blank that I made from, again, Multifarious cardstock. In fact, I made a topper, 14 by 14 centimetres, and I did edge that again in the black. Let me get my board out here. And then I mounted it onto a 14 by 14 centimetre card blank. So I've got that one that I've just made. And then here is the one that I made earlier, which I think is slightly better balanced than that one. There's not much in it. I do like them both. But I just adore these bottles. I really do. I think they are so sweet. And you're going to see more of them from me anyway. Thanks for being with me today. And I'm going to see you again very soon. Enjoy your crafting, everybody. Bye for now.